Hi, thank you for the invitation to the course. In the next 10 minutes or so, I will share with you a way that we use EcoZones app in academic teaching at the Hafen City University in Hamburg. The university has a very specific profile because it deals mostly with the development of built environment from the perspective of architecture, planning, engineering sciences, and similar fields of study. And this is where the topics of mobility are obviously relevant, but they are represented in a different way in different courses. Particularly, I want to speak now about the course called Resource Efficiency in Architecture and Planning, REAP, which is a master course delivered since around 15 years, focusing on the ways that the built environment can be adapted to the growing pressures of climate change. And this concerns a variety of topics, which I represent on the slide through the insight into recent master thesis at the university, and basically covers issues such as water management, for instance, adaptation of construction methods, but also in many cases mobility as a relevant issue to the problematic. The compositions of the students, it's quite interesting because it involves actually mostly architects and engineers, with a smaller proportion of urban planners, so people that are typically used to work more on a building scale than a neighborhood scale, and the topics of mobility are for many of them quite new, the same as livability and walkability. But we specifically want to put an emphasis on covering these topics, and it happens mainly in two courses. First one, Methods of Integrated Urban Planning, which provides an opportunity for the students to really familiarize themselves with a variety of options in planning, including exactly various methods for urban appraisal, including digital mapping. So that's where EcoZones app fits very well, and that's where we actually tested it for the first time last year in 2024, when it was still in the development phase, and we would surely use it in the future to help students familiarize themselves with the process and the topic. Second of all, we also use it in the project work, for instance, in project 2, which concentrates on the development of a project conceptualized by students in a specific district of Hamburg. So mobility and road safety in many cases is at least analyzed, but sometimes is even a part of these projects. And actually the whole process involves walkability analysis in specific districts. So again, digital mapping comes in very handy in that context. So what I wanted to do is just very briefly show you how one group of our students familiarized themselves with the app. So they didn't really use this kind of tool in the past. So while testing it, they not only approached it from the perspective of results, but also they wanted to a little bit get a sense what's the broader meaning of mapping in an urban environment, and reflect a little bit on the whole process from, let's say, not outsider's perspective, but a little bit zoom in and reflect also on the utility of the approach for their goals. This was realized in the district of Hafen City, where our university is also located, where students try to concentrate, of course, on the various aspects that the app offers, well, including mobility, but also looking at environmental quality, socio-economic well-being, and disaster risks. They chose, as you may see on this slide, of course they didn't cover each and every street, but they chose specific walks in the district, which are crucial from urban planning perspective, and were the most interesting in their investigation. They did three walks altogether in a smaller group of 5 people, which actually they used just 1 or 2 mobile phones, even though they were recording the common impressions from the ground. So it was also interesting for them to actually compare the utility of this tool in a different context that it was originally developed. Comparing a little bit the results from Mexico and Germany, Hamburg, which they did with a little bit focus on looking at the results between 2 cities, and obviously somehow the results of concerning the mobility were more positive in the context of Hamburg, where the public transportation is very well developed, but they still did have a reflection on some ways of improving the environment in spite of the very high scores that urban environment qualities received. As I mentioned, this was also repeated for instance, for environmental quality, and overall resulted in quite a decent number of points and reflections, and around 8 of those concerning specifically matters of mobility, also with proposals for new parking spaces and improvement in the city. So the final output, which might be somehow relevant, is that it also sort of pushed students to think about possible solutions, which involved, in that case, parking management and shared micro-mobility services in the city. And at the end, they also evaluated the use, how it was for them to use the app, with overwhelmingly positive feedback, but the app was still at the stage of development, so well, they had a small issue with the fact that not all of them could approach them through their devices, because they had different mobile phones. But as this is sorted, we will certainly encourage next generations to use the tool and also apply it in the project work that we're doing throughout the studies. I think overall, just to sum up, specifically for the students